So let's talk about Scream 3 now, which is the film that I think some people consider to be underrated. I kind of actually do feel like it is. Find out why in this review. Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So greetings my fellow YouTubers and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to you as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 2000 slasher sequel Scream 3, released by Dimension Films, directed by Wes Craven, and written by Ehren Kruger. Starring David Arquette, Neve Campbell, and Courtney Cox, all back as Dewey, Sidney, and Gale, along with Patrick Dempsey, Scott Foley, Lance Henriksen, Matt Kiesler, Jane McCarthy, Emily Mortimer, Parker Posey, Dion Richmond, and Patrick Warburton. And also, and Liev Schreiber. Anyway, now this was just released for some time after a little over 2 years after the last one was done. It was released in February of 2000. Though it was released as the third installment, it was originally the concluding chapter of this series until 2011 when the series was revived with Scream 4. And of course there's a new fifth one in the works. Anyway, the film takes place 3 years after the previous film and follows Sidney, who has gone into self-imposed isolation following the events of the previous two films, but is drawn to Hollywood after a new Ghostface begins killing the cast of the film within a film known as Stabs 3. Anyway, Scream 3 combines the violence of the slasher genre with comedy and whodunit mystery, while satirizing the cliche of film trilogies. But unlike the previous two, there was an increased emphasis on comedic elements in this installment, and the violence and horror were reduced in response to increased public scrutiny about violence in media following the massacre at Columbine. Anyway, the film did pretty well, as it made $161 million. But for now, let's get into our story. Con Weary, now living in LA and now the host of a successful talk show on TV, which is selfly entitled 100% Cotton, is contacted by someone who apparently happens to be, you guessed it, Ghostface, who demands to know the whereabouts of Sidney. Cotton refuses to cooperate, and when Ghostface comes to his home, Cotton and his girlfriend Christine are murdered, so we lose Con Weary pretty darn early in this movie. Elsewhere, Detective Mark Kincaid contacts Gail Weathers to discuss the murders, prompting her to travel to Hollywood, where she finds Dewey working as an advisor on the set of Stab 3, the third film in the series based on the Ghostface murders. Using a voice changer as a ruse, Ghostface kills Stab 3 actress Sarah Darling. Played by legendary Playboy playmate and original female star of MTV's Singled Out, Jane McCarthy. Anyway, let me see here. That's one of the things I did like about that was the voice changer. That was really cool. Anyway, Sidney, who is now 22, is living in seclusion as a crisis counselor for an abused women's hotline. Fearing that another killer may strike, having discovered Sidney's location, the killer begins taunting her by phone, forcing her out of hiding and drawing her to Hollywood. As the remaining Stab 3 cast, along with Dewey and Gale, gather at the home of Jennifer Jolie, Ghostface murders her bodyguard, played by Patrick Warburton, and uses a gas leak to cause an explosion, killing fellow actor Tom Prince in the process. Yeah, not really the best kill we'd get from a Scream movie, unfortunately. Oh, so like they say, nobody's perfect. And Jennifer is played by Parker Posey. Let's see now. Let's see. Oh, yes. Martha Meeks, the sister of Sydney's best friend, well, I say her best friend, Randy, who was murdered while Sydney was in college in the last movie, visits Sydney and the others to drop off a videotape that Randy had made before his death, posthumously warning them that the rules of a horror film do not apply to anyone, the third and final film of a horror trilogy, and that any of them, including the main character Sydney, could die. So Dewey, Gale, Jennifer, and the remaining cast, which they are Angelina and Tyson, attend a birthday party for the director of the film, Roman Bridger, where Ghostface strikes. Gale discovers Roman's dead body in the basement. Angelina wanders off alone before she is also murdered. Tyson attempts to fight Ghostface, but the killer manages to throw him off a balcony to his death. Jennifer tries to escape through a secret passage, but Ghostface kills her as well, as you can imagine. The killer then orders Sydney to the mansion to save Gale and Dewey, who are being held hostage. When she arrives, Ghostface forces Sydney to abandon her firearm and lures her inside where Gale and Dewey are bound and gagged with duct tape. As Sydney is untying them, Ghostface appears, though Sydney gains the upper hand using a second handgun to fight him off. Detective Kincaid shows up, but is knocked unconscious by Ghostface. Sydney flees and hides in a secret screening room where she encounters Ghostface. Now for the ending. You've got 5 seconds to stop this video. Go to the description box below. Fast forward to the time below, okay? Here we go. Okay, you've been warned. The killer reveals himself as Roman, having faked his death and survived being shot due to a bulletproof vest. Roman admits to being Sydney's half-brother, born to their mother Maureen Prescott when she was an actress in Hollywood. 4 years ago, he had unsuccessfully tried reuniting with her. Bitter over the rejection, Roman would film all the men she philandered with. He showed Billy Loomis the footage of his father with Maureen, which motivated him to kill her, thus setting off the string of murders in Sydney's hometown and at her college. However, when he discovered how much fame Sydney had attracted due to those events, Roman snapped and lured Sydney out of hiding. So Roman didn't tell Sydney of his plan to frame her for the murders before killing stamp producer John Milton. Sydney furiously tells him that he is responsible for all of the events that have occurred. A fight ensues between Sydney and Roman, which ends with Roman shooting Sydney in the chest. Sydney disappears only to reappear and stab Roman in the back and chest. As he lies bleeding, Sydney shows him that she too was wearing a bulletproof vest. Dewey and Gale arrive when Roman suddenly resurfaces with a knife. Unaware of his bulletproof vest, Dewey shoots him, but Sydney yells at him to shoot Roman in the head, which Dewey does, finally killing him. Sometime after at Sydney's house, Dewey proposes to Gale, who accepts. Sydney returns from a walk with her dog and leaves her gates, which were previously shown to be alarmed, open. She enters her home and is invited to join Dewey and Gale and Detective Kincaid to watch a movie. As she goes to join the others, her front door blows open behind her, but she walks away it as is finally confident that the murders are over. End of story. So, what did I think of Scream 3? Well, I'm going to say that I have to agree that it is kind of underrated. Isn't quite the best. While it does have a little bit more ups and downs with, well, the kills and what have you, and with the cast, of course. Of course, we have David Arquette, Becca Dewey, Neve Campbell as Sydney, and Courtney Cox as Gail, which, of course, Cox was now married to Arquette at the time, where she was credited as Courtney Cox Arquette, since she was credited as that on TV's Friends, which was still on. But anyway, yeah. Now, I did like the voice changer the Ghostface killer used, which that was really good. The twist in the story of who the killer was, now that was kind of a big surprise. Now, I've only seen this a few times, like the last one, but after revisiting it last month, I'm gonna say it's kind of grown on me a bit more. Not quite like number 2 though, but it's trying to do its best. It has a few bit of mishaps, even with its humor, and have a bit of a whodunit bit, kind of almost like the first one. But anyway, I will say Scream 3 isn't factually too bad or anything. I'm going to say it's good in some ways. It has Marco Beltrami back as the composer for the music. So anyway, yeah, it's not that bad. So it is in a way underrated, like I've heard from some of my friends. Derek from Derek's Horror Corner, and I know Asley from Entertainment Fanatic Reviews has mentioned that as well. So anyway, oh yeah, and there was also a pretty good soundtrack released on, well, the upcoming, well, sort of up and coming big Wind Up Records label, where it featured Creed performing What If, which of course was also which was recently released as the second single from their sophomore album, Human Clay. The soundtrack also includes Slipknot and with a special remix of their song Way and Bleed, as well as System of a Down Spires and Fuel's Sunburn, plus music from Finger 11, Seven Dust, Godsmack, Cold Chamber, Static X, Incubus, Dope, Orgy, Stained. Yeah. Which it wasn't too bad, but anyway. Enough about the soundtrack. The story was not too bad. The cast was pretty good. It's just that the humor could have been a little toned down a little. The kills were good, but not quite as good as they were in the last one. But most of them were pretty good in ways. Mm-hmm. And with the surprise of Roman being the killer, yeah, that was a big surprise and what have you. But I'm sorry I had to spit down if you fast forwarded. So I apologize for bringing that up. But now the question is, would I recommend Scream 3 to watch? Well, I'm going to give it in between hell yeah and sure go ahead. If you're a completionist. So Scream 3, while it might not have gotten that much good reception as the previous two, it still, however, did go on to become a success. It went on to make 89 million here in the US, and it went on to make 161 million worldwide. So anyway, Scream 3, I'd say give it a try. But anyway, we thought that was the end, and it was, until over a decade later when Scream 4 came out. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Scream 3? Tell me in the comment section below, please. If you like this video, click the like button below, subscribe to my channel as well, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Join me next time when I bring to you a review of Scream 4. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, check out these others. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of the first Scream movie. The upper right-hand corner is my review of Scream 2. I'm just going to go ahead and give it to y'all at the end, in case you didn't see it. And as a bonus, or if you want to step out the slashers for just a little while, go and see something else, go to the bottom left-hand corner for my recent review of The Exorcist 3. Which of course is another underrated horror film. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.